Hi, this is Norah reporting at the chicken coop. From 2012 to 2016, I went to preschool at Action Day Primary Plus in Mountain View.
Mommy, you should be ahead of us.
In 2015, my room 3 teacher, Miss Debbie, decided to hatch some chicken eggs in the classroom. When they were born, she fell in love. So did I. It was there where my passion for animals was sparked. Miss Debbie's first chicken was called Danny. Unfortunately, he turned out to be a boy, meaning he was loud and as sassy as a grumpy teenager. So they let him go to a farm to live out the rest of his days as a happy rooster. Soon after, 2 new gems were born, Sweetie and Pepper. I fell in love, and I have the fondest memories of snuggling the hens. Later that spring, they asked for volunteers to build the chicken coop, and my dad signed up. He built a coop out of an old playhouse, and everyone liked it, child and chicken alike. After the 2 hens got settled, the teachers decided they'd like to expand the coop, so my dad came back that summer and added a run. In 2018, they removed a shed to make more room, and we extended the run. Now it is 2023, and we return to check in. What made you want to have chickens?
Well, I started by just hatching them, and then I would give them away. But then we had one little lone chick that hatched all by itself, and we fell in love with it. And Miss Jessica goes, "Can we keep them?" And I said, "Absolutely not." But then we did, and we fell in love. And your dad built this beautiful coop, and we just keep adding.
I was happy to see Miss Debbie, but I wasn't sure about her story. So I wanted to ask Miss Jessica for more info about how Danny got his coop. I'm here with the director of our school, Miss Jessica. So what made you want to keep our first chicken, Danny?
So Danny was very special to us, and we thought that it would be a great opportunity for the kids to go ahead and keep learning about chickens and habitats and animals by having a pet here. And the kids loved it, Miss Debbie loved it, so it was something that was very special to us, so we wanted to continue with it.
So it was true. Miss Jessica started it all. Now that that was settled, I asked Miss Debbie to introduce the chickens.
All right, we got Pearl, Basil, and Magnolia.
In case you missed that, here they are again.
Pearl, Basil, and Magnolia.
What is owning chickens like?
It is the best experience ever. Truly the best experience. I never imagined they would be so funny, because I love sitting in my chair over there and watching them at nap time, and they just do the craziest things. They jump up and down on the little climbing thing. They sit in the coop in the run, and they do dust baths, which is when they throw the sand all over them. You would think that would get them dirty, but somehow that makes it clean. They love it. And they follow me everywhere. They go in the classroom. They sit with the kids. They climb on their Legos. Oh, Pearl.
And how does being with chickens make you feel?
Happy, happy, happy. They make me calm. When I'm not happy, I come sit down for a few minutes and they make me happy.
Has Magnolia always had the best hair?
Magnolia has always had the best hair, yes. She is a Polish hen, so she has that little puff at the top.
I love it.
And sometimes we like to put bows in her hair. She doesn't like that. Yes, Pearl. Yes, Pearl. Yes.
Pearl would like to be filmed.
Yeah, she goes, all the attention on me. She's our oldest. She's 5.5.
Oh.
Yeah. And she still lays eggs almost every day. Even though they said once they're 2, they stop laying eggs as much. But I think she's keeping up with these 2. And they're 1.5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So then is she the leader?
Oh, she's the leader, all right. For sure. She wasn't too happy when they first came, but she got used to them.
And what's the chicken's favorite food?
Favorite food, corn. Corn, grapes, and cucumbers. And they do not like strawberries. Everybody says they love strawberries. Not my chickens.
That's interesting.
It is very interesting.
The same thing happened with my ladybugs.
Oh, they didn't like strawberries? Oh, I don't know. And they love digging. That's their grazing box. So we put different seeds in there, and it grows, and they peck at it. That was their grazing box too, but it is now their dust bath box because I didn't have the heart to take it away from them. I opened it up so they can dig it up, and then I was going to put more seeds in it. But they enjoyed it so much, throwing the sand. I was like, all right, fine.
Where do the chickens eat?
They eat out here in the little black bowls, or they have their little tubes of food inside the coop. Normally, I would not keep food in the coop, but because they're on their own on the weekends, I need to have food in there, so I do have food in there for them. Otherwise, normally they would just eat outside.
And where do they sleep?
They sleep right up here. See those bars up there? They're called roosts, and they all sleep in one little area on the left.
Do they like to snuggle together when they sleep?
They do.
Oh.
They do. Except when it's hot, then they kind of spread apart a little bit. But then, most of the time, they all snuggle together. And then Miss Lori comes at 7 o'clock, and she opens the door, and she lets them out. And sometimes they're still sleeping from 6 o'clock last night. And so they jump down, they come out there, and they enjoy their food. They love their corn. They love their cucumbers. They just they play all day. They got quite the life.
How often do they lay eggs?
They lay eggs once a day. Every day. So I have lots of eggs now. They just started laying their eggs about 3 weeks ago. Because in September they went molting, which means they lose all their feathers, well, most of their feathers. And they don't lay eggs until their molting season is over with. So they had quite a molting season. So that was like 4 months. So now they're laying their eggs again.
What age do baby chicks start getting big feathers?
They about, I would say around 3 months. Because they're kind of fluffy. And then gradually they start getting their big girl feathers in. But when they molt, they lose all those feathers. Sometimes they're a little bit, on the back end, they're a little bit bare. Their necks, they're a little bit bare. Their wings, like all those pretty wings, all her feathers there, her tail, gone. Completely gone. That's why I thought maybe her top, Magnolias, didn't lose all of it, but she did lose a lot of it. But it all came back. And they lose a lot of weight too. But now, as you can tell, they're back. Pearl's back with a vengeance.
Do you have a favorite type of chicken?
I like the Puff Orpington. That was one of my first chickens. Her name was Sweetie.
Yeah, I met Sweetie.
Yeah, she was the first. She's very friendly. Very, very friendly. These ones are very good too. Basil is a Dominique. I never knew what Pearl was. And then Magnolia's the Polish chicken. She's a little bit skittish. You know why? Because she can't see very well. Because her hair goes over her eyes. And so when people come up to her, if you can't see, you get a little startled.
Oh, no.
So she's a little bit skittish. She will let you hold her, but not too often.
Are your chickens spoiled?
They're pretty spoiled. Yes, I'll have to say. Even when it rains, they come inside. And they have free range of the classroom. When it's hot and they're sweaty, they come inside. Even though they're perfectly fine outside. And they're nice and shady in here. When it's hot, I'll fill up their little black bowl with ice water, and I'll put some mealworms in there, so they dig and they, dunk their head in there, and they have some nice water for them. They don't really like to go. They do take baths, but they're not really thrilled with it.
After talking with Miss Debbie, I asked my dad if he would like to show us around the coop, and he answered yes. So, you made this beautiful chicken coop for Miss Debbie, and what was the hardest part?
The hardest part was probably actually building this big extra structure, which came in, was the second part of what we did. The first part, we started with a playhouse that the kids would play in, and we just added a door and some mesh on the windows and some window covers. And then inside, we took some old lumber and built a roosting space for the chickens, and over here a nesting space where they lay their eggs and sleep occasionally. And over here we've got the feeders that we made. So during the first phase of the build, we were only in here. One important thing that I learned while I was making it was that you have to create ventilation so that the air flows through the coop and it doesn't get too hot during the night, especially at summer. So we had to cut a hole up here, and we had to cut holes in the front. You can see them right here. And of course, Miss Debbie's added all kinds of beautiful things in here. When we built the second part, it was about a year later. And as a starting point, we had to cut open a door over here in the coop. So we cut this door open with a latch. Oh. And we had to build, I built this blue frame and then had to fill all of this with sand. It was very heavy. We had to have this roof. It was really, really hot the day we built it. It was about 95 degrees outside, and I was sweating, getting sunburned.
So my next question is, what was your favorite part about building the chicken coop?
My favorite part about building the chicken coop was I got to be creative, and I didn't have to worry about things being super fancy and polished, so I could just build what I wanted to build. And it was really nice to work with Miss Debbie, and she had all kinds of ideas as well, and she was so helpful. And I got to spend time at the school with all the kids, and they would come visit, and you would come visit during the first part. You were still at the school, and you'd come visit me. You were little, and you left me a note one time, and it was a very special time. I got to see what your days were like, and lots of visits with you while I was doing it.
What are some important things about chicken coops in general and this chicken coop?
Well, one thing is that the ground you have to have lots of room for sand or some kind of substrate so that when they go poop, you can just shovel it up. And they like to peck in there, obviously. One of the really challenging things was actually making sure that things like raccoons and animals that might want to hurt the chickens wouldn't come in at night, because Miss Debbie goes home at night, obviously, and the chickens are left inside the coop. So maybe we could go around and have a look at the wire mesh that we used. So we started out using this. This is called chicken wire. It'll keep out a chicken, but it won't actually keep out a raccoon. They can bite through it. So we ended up having to use this heavier square mesh all through all the windows. And then to keep them safe at night, we had to build these louvers and just use some of this aluminum rod here to keep it all locked up. And it's held up pretty good.
Next, Miss Debbie took us over to her favorite seat to feed the chickens.
Sometimes if I sit right here, my girl will come up. Come on, Basil. Come on, Basil. Hey, it won't bother you. Sit right here. She's our farmer. Okay, hold it down, then I'll come. Just come eat it. Okay. It's her favorite thing to do. Oh, they see your shiny shoes. That's it? Hazel, you laid your egg already. You're okay.
Miss Debbie gave us a carton of eggs as a nice present to say goodbye.
All right, these are our eggs from our 3 girls. The darker ones are Pearls, who's 5.5, and the lighter one, the lighter tan one is Basil. And these are our first white eggs from Magnolia.
Thank you, Miss Debbie, for letting me interview you and come to your chicken.
Welcome. My pleasure.
Now our next story. Breaking news, there is radioactive jelly beans now that are making animals become giant.